Good afternoon, Chaos. This is Akelitos here, your friendly Legions leader, here to do a review of one of my brethren in Legions, the boss man himself, El Jefe. Now, as you can see, El Jefe, like myself, prefers to run Sith in Arena, but not just any Sith. He prefers that Darth Nihilus lead, and along with his Darth Nihilus, he has a Savage Opress, Commander Luke Skywalker, Kylo Ren, and Darth Vader. Now, El Jefe has noticed that his arena squad has been slipping of late with a lot of the new characters, new Zetas, a bunch of reworks, making Sith seemingly obsolete, and at the very least pushing out the Darth Vader and Darth Maul leads that have been dominating the Sith synergies as of late. But El Jefe decided he wanted to stick with Darth Nihilus. Now, because he has like Sith, his light side characters have been a little neglected, so El Jefe asked, in addition to some recommended tweaks or a little bit of advice from my side on what to do with his arena squad, also asked what characters to most focus on his light side to help him prepare for territory battles. So, with no further ado, let us go ahead and jump in and see what El Jefe has. Now, we can look here and see that of his most powerful characters, we have a good mix of Gear 10 and Gear 11. So this shows me that El Jefe is one of those who prefers not to spend a ton of money on a game that he plays on his tablets and or cell phone, which is obviously nothing to be ashamed of. There are plenty of people that do not spend a lot of money, and that is their prerogative. Like I myself do not spend too much money either, but that's my choice, and El Jefe has made his. So, looking at what we've got here, like I said, a fair number of Gear 10s and Gear 11s, and if we continue to scroll down, we'll see a lot of 7 stars, and a whole bunch of people around Gear 8, which is what I found most people have done for territory battles. Now, with a Darth Nihilus lead, he has an extremely powerful leader ability that works only with Sith, so it is a very good idea to have a lot of strong Sith characters with Darth Nihilus. So while we figure out what to do with his arena squad, let's check and see what Sith does he have. And we see everybody aside from the Sith Trooper and the Sith Assassin are 7-star Gear 10 or Gear 11, which does give us a lot of choices right now. So, with those that are there, the one weakness that I have found that Sith have, even under a Darth Nihilus lead, is they have very few choices for taunting tanks. Now, some of these Sith characters are very difficult to kill in and of themselves, like Darth Nihilus, Savage Opress, Darth Vader, Count Dooku. These guys either have a ton of health and defense, or a lot of self-healing, making them difficult to kill. But if you have characters like Darth Sidious, Darth Maul, or Emperor Palpatine in there, you really need a taunter to help protect them. And with all the burst damage and countering coming on under Commander Luke Skywalker leads, it is absolutely vital that this group gets a strong taunting tank in Arena, which really limits a die-hard Sith player to a Sith Trooper tank. So my first piece of advice, if you want to continue running Sith, once you get your Commander Han Solo to where you're comfortable with him, I would say start farming up Sith Trooper's gear, because he really is that good as a tank, and he provides a lot to the team. I would also recommend getting a second taunting tank. So just looking at the tanks that you have, there's not many here that are strong taunters. However, Old Ben could work. General Kenobi could work. I would lean more towards General Kenobi myself, because aside from lack of tanks, a glaring weakness of all the dark side And the Sith in particular is a lack of dispels, or a lack of cleansing, such as dispelling debuffs from your own team. So General Kenobi could provide that second taunt as well as a team cleanse. So he's a very strong candidate for a Sith group. Old Ben, I'm not entirely sure how well he would work there. Royal Guard and First Order Stormtrooper also strong. Could make a strong case for using them. And possibly even Shore Trooper. I'm not sure. But I would definitely use Sith Trooper. And I'd recommend General Kenobi as my second choice of tank, only because he has that group cleanse. So what other 2 or 3 characters would you fill in your Sith group? Personally, I think under a Darth Nihilus lead with what you have, your first choice for pairing should be Count Dooku. Just because the amount of damage output he has is phenomenal, especially with his counters. And under a Darth Nihilus, his flawless riposte unique, even without the Zeta, is very strong. So with Darth Nihilus, I would bring in Count Dooku. For right now, I would bring him in place of Kylo Ren. Because as strong and as powerful as Kylo Ren is as one character, he gains no benefits under a Darth Nihilus lead, and Count Dooku has almost as much survivability as Kylo, and he can do a ton more damage. Now, I say that I have never used Kylo Ren with his Zeta, and I've heard that he is played very differently by the characters versus the AI, so perhaps he is incredibly strong, but I still feel like Count Dooku is a better option than Kylo Ren. So that leaves us Darth Nihilus, Count Dooku. Until you get your tanks geared, Commander Luke Skywalker is not a bad choice to throw in there, but Savage Opress and Darth Vader should be your next top 2 choices, just because they are so tanky. Without a taunter, they will survive quite well. So with what you have, I'd recommend keeping the Darth Nihilus lead, throwing in Count Dooku instead of Kylo Ren, Darth Vader, and Savage Opress. And if you want to continue to continue to use Luke Skywalker, that is more than okay. But without a taunter, you definitely don't want to throw in Darth Sidious, Darth Maul, or Emperor Palpatine. They just die way too fast, especially with all the counters that are out there today. But definitely don't want to neglect the Sith Trooper. Level or gear him up and throw him in there for Commander Luke Skywalker when he's ready to go. And you'll be sitting pretty and having a very good, strong group there. Because Sith are notoriously slow, Sith Assassin is a great addition to any Sith team, but she's very far away for you, so I don't know that it's a really viable option, especially since you are wanting to get ready for territory battles even more. So there you have it, my recommendations for your arena team. Mods, I believe you're doing fairly well as it is. Darth Nihilus is all about speed and potency, which it appears you might have a tenacity cross, where a potency cross might be better. Crit chance, I'm sure you're using this one just for the speed and the crit chance. You just said you're going to deal with it because the speed is awesome. So yeah, I would definitely use those. And for all the Sith under Darth Nihilus lead, make sure, if you can, the circles have protection instead of health, just because it benefits them so much. Savage Opress, interesting mods we've got here. Speed is nice. Crit damage, that's probably just is what it is. But I recommend not so much the speed as offense. mods, because his brute unique, since you have the Zeta, he will gain enough turn meter as it is. He doesn't necessarily need speed, so you just want him to hit as hard as possible. Using Darth Vader, I would pump up his potency as much as you can. Make sure you get a potency cross here. Make sure you have potency sets wherever you can. Throw some speed in there, and probably crit chance or crit damage here. A lot of people swear by speed for your arena squads. Personally, I disagree, especially if you get your Sith Assassin. But Sith are not built to be a super strong side, or I'm sorry, a super fast side. So trying to build up a stat that is so weak for all of them is really just a waste of allocation budget. You want to stick more towards potency and health as far as your Sith are concerned. Well, one of the exceptions being Count Dooku. He is incredibly fast, so you want to get him as fast as you can. And I would throw in, well, like you've got some offense mods and maybe a couple health mods, just to make sure that he survives all the damage she'll be taking to trigger his counters. So that's what I'd recommend for your arena. Take it or leave it. You are free to do with as you will. Like I said before, my feelings will not be hurt either way. This is your game, so play it how you would like to. Now, the fun part. Territory battles. Territory battles, really, you need light side. Well, I say really. The only option is to use light side. So just glancing at your light side, I see you've got a couple Gear 11s, a fair number of Gear 10s, but not too many, and then some Gear 9s. So whatever light side characters we choose, they're going to need a lot of gear. Looking around, a lot of people have Rebels, a fair number of people have Jedi, and then some people have Resistance and Clones. So I started by looking at your, well, let's start with Clones since they come first. Alphabetically, we see you have them all at 7-star. Most of them are Gear 8 or above, with the exception of Echo. So if you are willing to spend the time, Clones are a pretty viable option if you want to put a Zeta on Commander Cody. If you don't want to put the Zeta on Commander Cody, they're really not worth it in territory battles. They're not going to provide that much for you. So Clones are a possible option if you want to invest the time into them. If not, we can just look at your Jedi, see that you've got a fair number, Gear 10, Gear 11, and just like Clones are best under Commander Cody's Zeta lead, for Jedi, you really need to have a Zeta Qui-Gon Jinn lead to make them useful, or a high-level General Kenobi with his leader ability maxed, which you have. So whichever one of those you want to use. If you want to Zeta Qui-Gon Jinn, use him as a lead. If not, stick with General Kenobi. And throw in Jedi Knight Anakin, who really should be modded for potency, crit chance, and health. He's best not necessarily with crit damage mods, but crit chance, just because of his reckless assault. You want to make sure you crit on all of them, because you don't want to get him exposed. Instead, you want him to crit and provide offense up to everybody. Pairing with Jedi Knight Anakin, Ahsoka Tano is by far the hardest hitter among the Jedi. If she gets to Gear 11, you want to mod her with 1 crit chance set and 1 crit damage set, just pumping up the offense as much as you can for her. She is something of a glass cannon, but at Gear 11 she gets a lot of health on her gear, and Jedi Knight Anakin provides her crit immunity. So she's really useful there. And I see you have your Grandmaster Yoda, nice and geared with a lot of speed, fantastic. If possible, you're going to want to Omega his Ataru, Master Stroke, and Unstoppable Force. And yeah, so that's really your best options for Jedi. I know your Luminara Unduli is very well geared, but she just doesn't bring anything to the table that others bring more of. So with no Zeta lead, General Kenobi or even an old Ben is your best option with Grandmaster Yoda, Ahsoka Tano, Jedi Anakin, and Qui-Gon Jinn. If you Zeta Qui-Gon Jinn, obviously you want to use him as your leader, but you don't really have any others that could step in on a Jedi group. That leads us to your Rebels, of which you've got plenty unlocked. You have a nice set of gear 11 Rebels, so let's figure out what you've got here and what to use. I mean, obviously your strongest Rebel leader is Commander Luke Skywalker, and under Commander Luke Skywalker, you would probably be best with a Wedge Antilles, R2-D2, and actually don't use your old Ben in your Jedi. Use your old Ben here with Commander Luke, Wedge, R2-D2, old Ben, and pair those four with whichever of the Hoth brothers you are using if you have them ready to go. Because the group of Commander Luke, R2, Old Ben, and Wedge could pretty much finish everything through Phase 4, possibly even most of Phase 5 as well. A second group of Rebels that I would put together would include the Tank Stormtrooper Han as a lead, or Lando Calrissian lead, and Scarif Rebel Pathfinder as a tank. I would probably actually use the Scarif Pathfinder in this group with Lando, Princess Leia, Farm Boy Luke, and Biggs. Bring Biggs in as a damage dealer and to call assists, because if he will call Princess Leia or Lando, that would be a pretty fantastic assist call there. Farm Boy Luke, I would only keep in there until you get your Han Solo geared. Your Raid Han geared, because he is a beast. So again, you can either run a Stormtrooper Han lead with Lando, Leia, Luke, and Biggs Darklighter, or run a Stormtrooper Han lead with Lando, Leia, Luke, and Biggs. So those are your second string Rebels, or your second group of Rebels that I'd recommend. So you could definitely use those. Your Phoenix squad, I believe you said, needs a lot of work. I would put the most work into Ezra Bridger and get him up to at least gear 10. Ezra Bridger is a phenomenal attacker, even if you're not using him in your Phoenix group. He does fantastic, like I said, in a Jedi group or any other Rebel group. So he'll be the first one of the Phoenix you really want to gear up. And for your Rogue One tunes, I mean, it'd be pretty simple. You pick the ones with the most gear that you already have, or the only ones that are 7-star. So your 7-star Rogue One tunes would be Biston, Bodhi Rook, Cassian Andor, K2SO, and then Jyn Erso. With those 5, Jyn is obviously the only lead worth having, possibly even the only lead at all. But that would be a fairly strong group as it is. Cassian and K2SO have some pretty good synergy. Now, I mentioned in my review for Bernie earlier that Bodhi is, I think, going to be a game changer for the Rogue One teams. And Biston is not too bad either. His turn meter removal, his frenzy, his speed. You're going to get a lot of help out of those two, Bodhi and Biston. They will definitely assist Cassian and Jyn in their damage dealing and really bring up the rest of your group. So those are the Rebels that I'd recommend you working on. If I remember correctly, your resistance is not looking like that much right now. Yeah, you need your resistance pilot and your resistance trooper need a ton of work to get up to speed. So I really wouldn't worry too much about resistance unless you really want to get a head start on what everybody is saying. All the new tunes are going to be coming out in the next few months. But other than that, I wouldn't worry about them too much. And that pretty much wraps up all your light side characters. So just to recap, clones could be a decent option. In the Jedi faction, you could go well with a General Kenobi lead, with a Grandmaster Yoda, Ahsoka Tano, Jedi Knight Anakin, and Qui-Gon Jinn. You could form 2 rebel groups. One, your strongest group, where you would throw in one of the Hoth brothers where needed, would be Commander Luke Skywalker, R2-D2, Old Ben, and Wedge Antilles. Yeah, so Commander Luke, R2-D2, Wedge Antilles, Old Ben, and a Hoth brother. And then the second group would be either under a Lando Calrissian lead with Princess Leia, Scarif Rebel Pathfinder, Luke Skywalker, and Biggs Darklighter, or Stormtrooper Han lead with Lando Calrissian, Princess Leia, Biggs Darklighter, and Luke Skywalker. Either one of them, gear up your Han Solo to replace Farm Boy Luke, just because Han is such a strong damage dealer now. And then lastly, your Rogue Ones, just get Jyn Erso to 7 stars and throw her in there with your other 7-star Rogue One characters: Biston, Bodhi Rook, Cassian Andor, and K2SO. Hopefully these little pointers or what passes for advice can help you. I really wish you luck with your Darth Nihilus Sith team. Like I said, I'm a big fan. I think that they have a lot of potential, and I'd love to see you unlock that potential. And Jefe, with the strength of your roster, it's pretty impressive that you have not put much work into your light side and still have that much galactic power. I would love to see you build up that light side, really get over 2 million galactic power, and just start tearing through the combat missions. So, until later, this is Hekalatos saying goodbye and good luck, and hopefully El Jefe will join us in the top ranks of Legions in the territory battle contributions next time around. Good luck, good sir.